Hello, everybody. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, I see some comments coming through. Okay, wonderful. I'm not able to tell how many people are on, but I hope that we have a good number for me to go ahead and start. And if it's, let me just confirm that I can go ahead and start with enough people. Okay. All right, so hi, Sanket. Nice to have you on the call. Other people I see, Siddhartha is on. Okay, so those are the two I see, and there might be others. So my name is Nelly-Ange Kontchou. It's lovely to be speaking with you guys today. So I'm going to be giving a talk about how to ace your MBA essays. And I know that we're kind of like nearing the end of round 2. So there are a lot of you on this call who are going to be applying to business school and trying to tighten everything up in the last 2 to 4 weeks or so before your deadline. So I'm here to help you get all of that done. I'm going to just share a little bit about myself, and while I'm chatting, I think it'd be wonderful for all of you to use the comment section. You can say hello, share where you're joining us from, share whether you're applying round 2, round 3, if you've already applied round 1, and kind of like what your status is for the application. Just so that I can also direct some of my comments towards that. And any questions, comments, suggestions that you have throughout this talk, please feel free to just drop them in the comment section, and I'll try to look at them periodically. So for myself, I'm joining you guys from Yaoundé, which is the capital of Cameroon, and I'm just home for the holidays, but I actually live in Accra, Ghana currently, and I am a medical doctor. I practice general surgery, and I'm in residency training at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. Currently in my quote unquote research years, but I'm working in corporate. So an important part, once I open my slide, they'll have a little bit more about my bio, but I did get my MD, MBA, and I'm currently working in mergers and acquisitions for a healthcare investment firm. So I think that I'll go ahead and start the slides. I'm just checking the comments to make sure there's nothing outstanding. And then if I will just get some confirmation from the admin once you guys can see my slides, and I'll start get going. Okay. So actually with my slides in full screen, I cannot see your comments. So I just want to confirm that you guys can see. Okay. So actually with my slides in full screen, I cannot see your comments. So I just want to confirm that you guys can see. Okay. So actually with my slides in full screen, I cannot see your comments.
You have started YouTube somewhere in the background. Please make sure YouTube window is closed. Your audio is mixing up with speakerphone.
So sorry, you want me to mute myself on what platform?
No, not mute. You have perhaps started YouTube session somewhere on your computer.
Okay.
It can be in different tab maybe. Yeah. So you may want to close that. Basically close everything except for the presentation and StreamYard window, of course.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's loading. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So this is a little bit more about my background. As I mentioned, I do mergers and acquisitions. I also work in business development for a company called Africa Health Holdings. It's based in Accra, Ghana, Nairobi, Kenya, Lagos, Nigeria, Cairo, Egypt, and also New York. And what we do is we buy or like acquire clinics and hospitals across Africa and consolidate them to manage them long term. And while I'm in Ghana, I'm also licensed to practice with the Ghana Medical and Dental Council. So I do get to operate while I'm there. As I mentioned, I'm in residency training at Vanderbilt. And just these are some of my leadership positions that I've had. And I got my MD, MBA from Harvard, the medical school and the business school, and had an excellent experience there. So if anyone has Harvard specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And I highly recommend Harvard for business school. I went to Duke University for undergrad and majored in Spanish and Italian studies. Okay, so the first point I want us to talk about for writing your essays is number one, do your research. So I'm going to try to break it down to you what that means. So some tips are, you're going to have your list of schools that you've either considered applying to because friends have gone or colleagues that you work with have mentioned it, or for whatever number of reasons. But it is extremely important to take the time to look through each of the school's websites to really understand what the program offers, what seems to be important to the program. Things can jump out at you from the website, whether it's leadership over and over and over. Is it innovation over and over and over? Is it more finance? And just take a really close look at the website, and not only to be sure that you're able to write an essay that speaks to the school, but to be sure that you personally would want to attend that program. Another way to get some research done on these schools is to attend informational sessions, and a lot of them have virtual informational sessions. Very helpful because current students and alums, in addition to key members of the administration, will be part of that informational session. So take notes, ask questions, see if you can contact the students' alums after. So make sure to ask for the email addresses and make really good use of that. For people who have the opportunity to, if they live close enough to campus, or they have the financial means to, it's always great to visit a campus, because while you'll be in school, you'll also be living your life. Obviously, the ages are a little bit older for the school. You might see anything from 26 to 40 years old and plus. So you want to make sure that you enjoy the environment. Do you like the city that you're in? Are there things for you to do? Do you feel comfortable? What other activities outside of the classroom are offered on the campus? If you have children, is it a child-friendly area? Are there opportunities to live on campus and off? What would that commute be like if you were off campus? Is housing subsidized? All those sorts of questions are important and can really be delineated if you go and visit the campus. And then the fourth point is to reach out to current students and alums. And any way possible, yes, you might meet them on campus at informational sessions. You might meet them because you know a friend of a friend who went to a school that you're applying to. It's very important to reach out to them and get some insider tips and insight from them that you can include in your essay. And there's certain schools that actually like you to write the name of the people that you know who are affiliated with the program, just to show that you took the extra step to really find out about the institution. So you're going to go ahead and do all of your research. Next, you're going to organize yourself. So you want to organize your writing schedule. So to break that down further with some scheduling tips, you want to kind of determine your essay writing order. Some things that you can use to determine an order that would make the most sense for you is the ease of answering the prompt. Some people might find some questions a little bit more challenging to go into, and some might be super easy. So definitely want to get it done, and don't just be super focused on a prompt that is really challenging for you to start and then you don't do any of the other schools because you have writer's block. So just, the key is to get started. So even if you can get started on the easier ones, it might actually jog your memory and some ideas to do the other prompts that are a little bit more challenging. And keep in mind, some of the prompts are going to be broad things like, tell me about yourself, why business school, why this particular school, how have your past accomplishments brought you to where you are today, what are you trying to achieve? So kind of just things about yourself, but it might take you a while to kind of organize your thoughts. Then the word limit might be helpful. If there is an essay that is 200 to 400 words, that might be easier for you to write than 800 to 1,000 words. Depends on the person. Sometimes writing shorter essays is harder because you have so much to say and you need to cut it down. So just see, like, based on your writing style, the word limit might help you determine the order. I will say personally, it's nice for me to start with the longer essays and just like write everything that I would want to write. And then I can use parts of that essay for the shorter ones. So it's not like I have to redo everything from scratch every time. And then, of course, super, super important, the application deadline. So if you have a school's deadline that is, a week or two ahead of the other, make sure that you're working on the earlier deadline first so you don't get stuck. For each essay, I would say plan 8 to 10 iterations of it. So don't think that you're just going to write it, review it one time, and it'll be ready to go. Because for yourself, you might catch errors, or you might have to work on cutting down, or importantly, you'll want to get input from other people, and they may completely redirect you in terms of how you've written your essay and what you should include. Point 3 for you is going to be to write freely and then cut out words later. Don't be super focused on trying to limit your ideas and thoughts to a short word limit. Just go ahead and write everything that you want to write out. Sorry, that's a WhatsApp coming in. And then don't forget your short answer questions. So you might have a long essay, but you'll also have short answers. So you don't want to come to like 2 or 3 days before your application is due and realize you hadn't put time into the short answers. So make sure you're looking very closely at all of the requirements for the application. All right. So we're going to move on to the next point, which is a very important one, identifying your essay themes. So you are a whole person who has had a lot of different life experiences, and your job is to figure out how to distill all of those life experiences into a couple of pages, and also how to draw out what's most important for the specific prompt and then for the specific school. So some tips of themes that you would want to include are your professional goals, what your motivations are for those goals, and that's oftentimes more important than the goal itself. It's like, why do you want to do that? Not everyone has taken the time to really sit and think, why do I want to be a consultant? Why do I want to go into investing? What has brought me to that point? And you really need to do the work to figure out those answers in order to write a very poignant essay. Then you want to make sure you touch on your professional achievements. So it's great to have goals and a vision, but a school wants to know that you have demonstrated the ability to reach goals in the past. So that's the importance of kind of expressing your professional achievements. Things are important almost across the board. Leadership experience, in whatever way you can incorporate it. Yes, it's great to have leadership experience as it pertains to your career on the job. So if you have that, that should be included. If not, if you have leadership experience in other facets, whether it's community service that you do outside of work, or other professional organizations that you might be a part of that are not strictly like your 9-to-5 job, then definitely include those as well. Community service is a bullet point in and of itself, because service to the world is super important. And as you'll see in business school now, like ESG, which is like environmental and social governance, is a really important part of most businesses, and it's how they can secure funding. So you'll even start to see a lot of those sorts of courses in business school about, yes, you're making profit, but are you also achieving social good? So it's nice to show that that is a part of, or has been a part of your life journey thus far. One that is a little bit obvious, but that people might find hard to really express. It's like, what is your motivation for business school? Like, why do you need to go back to school versus continuing in your current role or getting a job in a different industry? How is business school going to help you achieve your goals? And then very specifically, what are your motivations for and intended contributions to specific schools? So that's where all of the research that you did before will come in really handy. Knowing what clubs are available, which professors are in the school, what are the professors interested in, what specific courses are offered that you want to take that would actually help you reach your goals, and what are the resources that the school has, whether it's like entrepreneurship lab or innovation lab, or whether they connect you to different internship opportunities, whether there are a lot of conferences that speak to your particular interests that would allow you to engage with world-renowned speakers. All these sorts of things you should do your research on and find out about, and be specific about them when you're writing your essay. Don't just say, broadly, I want to, participate in clubs and stuff. Like, make sure you identified the specific ones and how you could contribute to them. So these are themes to keep in mind. So I'm going to take us to our next section, which is reviewing your essay. So once you've done your writing, you've incorporated the themes that you feel like you needed to incorporate, you need to just take a step back and ask yourself, have I actually answered the prompt? So sometimes you'll have like a wonderful story and you think that this is such a catchy story and they're going to love it and I'm passionate about this. But like, let's say the prompt was like, why do you want to go to Stanford? And you just wrote a whole story about like your life and your motivations for, I don't know, PE, but you didn't really speak about why Stanford, then you, even though it's a great essay, you have not answered the prompt. So just make sure you take a step back and confirm that you have achieved the objective. The second point is to make sure you have a central theme, meaning that the essay is cohesive and coherent. So when you're writing, you don't necessarily want to have a bunch of different stories about yourself and your life and your job and all the different things that you did. That is like you spitting out a resume, but in prose format. That's not going to be a strong essay. So you want to have like one central theme that you stick to. So let's say your thing is, I can maybe even use myself as an example. So my aim is to figure out how to finance surgery in sub-Saharan Africa in a sustainable manner. So I've now identified that my theme is that. So everything that I write about needs to stem from and lead to that theme of financing surgery in sub-Saharan Africa. So I could talk about different experiences I've had in sub-Saharan Africa. I can talk about healthcare experiences I've had. I can talk about investing experience that I've had, but all of them should like tie into the fact that this is what I want to do. Now that theme that I just shared is very specific, and I actually arrived at that theme after going through business school. Before I had gone through the MBA program, my theme was more so about how to build surgical capacity in sub-Saharan Africa, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. I didn't know if it was going to be through education, through training, through human resource building, through investing. I wasn't sure. But so my theme at that point in time was building surgical capacity. And then I went through, school, met a whole bunch of people, brought in my network, and then refined my goal, which is finance. So that is that. This can be a hard thing to kind of pinpoint. So I'm happy. I hope you guys are asking questions in the chat box so that I can address them after this slide. You want to make sure that you're avoiding repetitive statements. You might, in like 800 or 1,000 words, start realizing you're saying stuff that you had already said in paragraph 2. It's not necessary and it's not going to add. Make sure that every word and every sentence you're putting in your essay is purposeful. Be intentional with it. Make it hard hitting, and to increase your chances of having an essay that connects with the reader. Want to make sure to cut out extraneous words. As you write, this is more of a, how can I say, like structure review when you're writing. So you can say the same thing in many different ways. So if you're, at the point where you're over your word limit, just make sure that you're not using more words than you need to use to communicate, the same statement, basically. And then to help you with that, when you're trying to cut down to achieve the word limit, is that remember that you have information that can be shared in other locations. You have a CV that can have a lot of this information that might not fit in your essay. You have the opportunity for some programs to answer the short answer questions. And so you can put some information there, and it doesn't all have to be in your personal statement. And so think about that. Of course, I was going to say you also have your interview, but honestly, to get to your interview, you probably want to have at least mentioned something so that it will, come up in your interview. So just make sure that you're not forgetting that you've shown information in different places. And then super important, and I know not everyone has access to this, so you have to start asking friends of friends, colleagues, and kind of use your network. But getting current students or alumni of a specific institution to review your essay drafts is super, super helpful because they have context as to what the school, they've written their own essays and they've gotten in, so they can tell you what works for that program. And they've already gone through at least some portion of the MBA, and they can tell you, oh, these are the things that are super important to Columbia, to Wharton, to, ON, any school. So you want to make sure that you find them to go ahead and review your draft. And then finally, the last thing is that if you've given yourself appropriate amount of time as you scheduled your essays, you'll be able to weave in learnings from later essays into your earlier essays. So you might have written, the first essay you wrote something down, and then now you're like on essay 4 and you've had that reviewed by a student from a particular school from Georgetown, and they gave you some great tips, and now you want to incorporate those tips into essay 1. So make sure that you give yourself time to put those learnings into the other essays, even if they're for different schools. Some tips and stuff are kind of universal for the essay writing. So this is kind of the brief overview about the essay writing. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a second, if I can find that, just so that I can go ahead and check our comments section. All right. So I'm going to check it, and then just feel free to ask any questions or comments, and I can also go back to the PowerPoint slides if needed. So I see, okay, y'all said you could see, great. Hi, Alyssa. And so Sanket has a question. What does the work experience, okay, does the work experience really matter? I had a mandatory internship of 3 years in a mid-sized firm. Does it count as work experience at HBS? Okay, so what I'm getting from this question, Sanket, is that you went to undergrad, you finished undergrad, and then you did a 3-year-long internship. And now you're looking to apply, but you haven't had a full-time position at a job. So if that's incorrect, go ahead and state that in the chat, but that's what I'm getting from you. I think it's a little bit unusual, I would say, to have an internship be 3 years. Normally it's more like a semester or a year. Okay, you confirmed that is correct. So you might want to qualify it, because at the point that you've been in an internship for 3 years, it kind of sounds like a job. It's pretty permanent. So I would see if you can flip that and say, you said doing accounting to get a CPA. Okay. So I would find a creative way to maybe say that you did an internship at the beginning and then you were offered a longer term position, is what I would say. And I would break it down that way, because I think it might be a little bit confusing to someone to look at your CV and see why you had only an internship and why it lasted for 3 years. But yes, work experience does matter. And I think that working somewhere for 3 years is sizable. That is something that should be noted. I think you will just have to kind of explain the different formats a little bit more. I would say for myself, I did not actually have relevant work experience because I did a dual degree. So I had done school, I went straight through, I did high school, I did college, and I started medical school. But because the school has a particular dual degree program, they understood that. And there are also some schools that have 2+2 programs, which is going to be like you are an early graduate from university, and upon the condition for being accepted is you have to do like 2 years of work, and then you get 2 years of the MBA. So there's like a whole variety of stuff. It's not like everyone has had to work for 5 to 7 years to be admitted to an MBA program. So great question. I hope that answer helps. And then Kaya has a question. What should we avoid in a personal statement? Okay, so you should avoid not answering the prompt. That's no good. You should avoid being very tangential and all over the place. Like you want to be direct. You want to kind of state like, this is me, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm trying to achieve. So do that. You want to avoid having a whole bunch of different stories that's taking the reader in different directions. So that was the whole thing about central theme. You also want to avoid being like, you don't want to come off as cocky in any of your essays. You want to be confident and state the things that you've achieved, but obviously you're going to business school because you need something. You need something more to get to the next level. So there's no way that you're like just 100% an amazing person who has no room to grow. Like that's just not correct. Otherwise you wouldn't be going to business school. So just make sure that you are, yes, you're selling yourself, but you're also saying what you feel like you could get from the school and why you need business school to get to the next level. I'll call to your attention that there is a link here in the chat where you can get help with your MBA applications and schedule a free consultation with any of our Crimson MBA advisors. And that might be helpful for you to get the initial consultation and see what it's all about, and then sign on. Okay, so Sanket has another question. How to attend such informational sessions that I mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation, whether it happened on Zoom or some other platform. Yeah, so a lot of the informational sessions will happen online just because people are applying from all over the world to a lot of these schools. And so the best way is to go on their website, and they'll oftentimes just tell you when the informationals are happening because everyone knows that we're in application season. You can also on the website reach out to the admissions director and say, introduce yourself, say that I'm applying round 1 or round 2. Well, at this point, I'm applying round 2, round 3. I would love to know if you have any upcoming informational sessions. If not, were your previous informational sessions recorded that I can get access to? So those would be the quickest ways to attend an informational session. And we've also posted in the comment section for you another link about how to get help from Crimson Advisors with your MBA essays. And I know we're like midway through December. So if the people on here, if you guys are trying to apply round 2, you still have time, obviously, but it is a little bit of like crunch time. Make sure that if you have not started your essays, like today is when you want to start, because those deadlines are going to be early to mid-January for a lot of the programs. So I'm just going to pause here. I think I've answered all the questions. So if anyone else has any questions or comments, please go ahead and type them in. So they may be a benefit to other people as well. And then I can, even though this talk is only about acing the essays, I personally am obviously one of the advisors for applying to an MBA. So if you have any MBA related questions beyond the essays, please go ahead and feel free to ask those as well. I can also, I guess, take some time to go through, while people are thinking of questions, I can go through the rest of the slides above that talk about what Crimson has to offer. And okay, let me answer this question and then I'll just go through what Crimson has to offer, and that might kind of generate some additional questions. So Sankit's question, whether location plays a key role after college, how to choose the college location. Okay, so Sankit, I think you're asking location of the business school as opposed to undergraduate college. And so location does play a big role for a lot of people. It depends on who you are. Some people want to live close to family. Some people, as I said, there's some older people or even young people have kids. They have a whole family. They don't want to like move them halfway across the country. Or you have a partner who has a different job. And so you want to find a location that works with your family life as well. And then whether location plays key role, I have to call it. Oh, okay. And I get it. Okay, so the next part of the question I see here is, I think whether the location of your MBA plays a key role in getting a job after. So I would say not necessarily the geographic location of your MBA, unless it pertains to, okay, so if you know that you want to be in venture capital, you want to be in tech, choosing a program that's located somewhere like that's in Silicon Valley makes a lot of sense. Choosing programs that, if you're trying to work at the interface of tech, engineering, and business, choosing a program somewhere like MIT would make a lot of sense because of the tech reputation of MIT and also Boston in general. And then you, let me just finish this before I go to the next thought. If you're trying to go to a very finance heavy role post MBA, you might want to go to a very finance heavy school like Wharton. If you want to do consulting post MBA, you might want to go to a school that generates a lot of consultants like Kellogg, which is in Chicago. Yes. So then your next question is like USA different seats. Yeah. So kind of what I've just been saying, how to choose your program is what is the program known for and where to, 1 second, let me mute myself. Sorry for the background noise. So you want to choose see where do people go post MBA, and then that's going to help you determine where you might want to go. Aside from all of the other family issues, if you don't want to be somewhere cold, don't apply somewhere cold. Like all those location type things are important to consider. Cost of living, sorry, is also very important to consider, depending on how you're financing your MBA. Alrighty, so while people come up with some more questions, let me go ahead and share. Oh, you're very welcome, Sankit. Let me share my screen and then go back to the section about what Crimson has to offer. All right. Okay, so for you guys, you'll want to know, okay, now I know all the things I have to do. How is Crimson helpful? So we help basically from start to finish and give you, and the reason why it's an insider's perspective to the application process is because your advisors have done it before. So you can tell you kind of like the pitfalls and how to structure your time. So you get personalized application strategy, advice, and then also expert guidance. And the important thing, as I keep mentioning, central theme, cohesive narrative, we want to make sure that you're really selling yourself in the best light. And so some of the admissions consulting categories are going to be candidacy and school selection. So this is some of Sankit's questions about what schools do I apply to? No one really asked this, but also how many schools do I apply to? You know, all of that. So we'll help you with school selection. And what goes into that selection is your profile, the track that you want to go down, your target programs, and then your career ambitions and background. We'll help you with your personal statement. So brainstorming, building your personal brand, how to draft and revise the essays and edit and refine them. And then interview training. This is a whole section after you've submitted your application. If you are afforded an interview, then help you figure out how to prepare, what are the commonly asked questions, how to develop verbal communication skills, how to make sure that you know enough about the program, kind of like when you did your research, that you have enough notes about the program, that you can give responses that are not generic, that are like super specific to that program. And they'll be like, oh, this person is very much invested in attending our institution. And then you can do, we offer mock interviews and give you some feedback. CV review. The CV is an important part, and basically how'd you structure it, how'd you fit it in your 1 to 2 page limitation, and just add anything that needs to be added, how to revise and polish it well. For your recommendation letters, basically how'd you select the best recommenders for you. The strategized messaging is basically how'd you reach out to them and tell them what you want from them. Something that is a little bit challenging at times is that you might be in a current job and you're asking your supervisor or your boss to write you the letter. So you need to also come up with an appropriate way to let them know that you're thinking about leaving your job, and give them enough of a heads up so it's not like a contentious situation. So you want to make sure that you're able to invite and explain for them to write recommendation letters. Now, oftentimes they will seek your assistance in drafting these letters just because people are extremely busy. So you also just need to be aware of that there might be more, say, writing basically, or more writing that you need to do beyond just your essays. And then all other application materials. So necessary forms that you need, how to prepare your materials, and how to make sure that you haven't missed anything before you hit submit. And then some supplementary support, if you would need it, it would be prep package. And so that's just helping you like figure out your ambitions in general. And so strategizing your ideal career path, program selection, and then generating a report for you, telling you, okay, these are your strengths that, and with these strengths, you should consider a career in XYZ. These are some targets that you should have for the next month, 6 months, year's time, and like basically a roadmap to get from today to what your end goals are. And so there's some people who are, I'll kind of zoom through this because this is not about the MBA, but looking for PhD proposals or job applications. So we also help with that. And then review, we receive full application review pre-submission from former admissions officers. So that's really helpful to have someone who was an admissions officer, admissions director actually review your work and let you know whether it's up to par. This is the team of individuals in charge. So you have David from MIT Sloan, you have Leticia, and she's done work in the US, China, Brazil, UK, and then Robert P is Fulbright scholar. So that's Cambridge, UK, and also Australia. And you can see they have a whole bunch of different backgrounds. David from technology, Leticia with law, and then Robert with engineering. And so this is just the very high level team. And of course, we have a whole bunch of advisors and mentors under them. So these are some, just like a quick snapshot of results for you to know, is it worth it to use Crimson? The answer is yes, it is. But these are, 65 plus top universities in the US and in the UK that we've been able to target for applicants. And Crimson, it's like top 20 acceptances have been over 65, and UK top 10 acceptances over 65. And then the difference really for Crimson is kind of the quality of your mentors and tutors. It's not like everyone who is going to be giving you advice has done it before and has some insider kind of insight for you. And a lot of them have gone to Ivy League programs and Oxford programs. And then as well, the GSA clients, so basically our clients for our graduate applications, 1 and 2 of them are accepted to top 20 US, they're top 10 UK university, which is great. And the rest are obviously accepted, but maybe not to top 20 or top 10. So you can see the breakdown here. of how many have gotten to Oxford and Cambridge, 28, and then Ivy League, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Dartmouth, Brown, UPenn, Cornell, and then 340 plus people globally. And we've been kind of trying to help people get into these postgraduate MBA programs for the last 3 years. So I think we've already kind of put this in the comment section. I want to kind of flip back to it for the last 12 minutes now, but you can request a free initial consultation so that we can kind of assess how strong of a candidate you are. And in that, you can also ask additional questions and get answers, basically, if you've not been able to do that today. So that's going to be a thank you from me. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and then go back to the comment section. All right. So I think I am up to date on all the comments. So unless anyone has anything final that they want to ask or share, if anyone has any tips that they want to give that I did not mention, please feel free to go ahead and give some tips for the benefit of the rest of your peers. Okay. All righty. So I'm going to, for a second, just pass off to the admin to go ahead and jump in if there's anything that you want to say that I have not yet said, since there are no questions at this time. All right. Well, I think if no one has any further questions, I think we can kind of bring this session to a close. I want to thank you all so much for joining today. I just kind of want to ask, just to see if you guys can just put in the comment box whether you're applying round 2 or round 3, so I can just get a sense of where people are in their application process. You can just type in round 2, round 3. Oh, you're very welcome, Kaya. All right. I think people may be a little bit shy, but in any case, thank you all for joining. Oh, Swastik says round 3. Okay, great. So you have a lot of time to kind of apply all of these tips and concepts. So I'll say good luck to you. Good luck to everyone else as well who's applying. All right. Okay, thank you all and have a wonderful, I don't know where in the world you are, so either wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. And then I'm sure you can reach out to the organizers of this event for any other questions that you might have. And we'd love to help you out with a free initial consultation with Crimson MBA advisors and kind of get you to your dream school. All right, y'all. You're welcome, Swastik and everyone else. Take care.